And then Isaiah 24, verses 5 and 6. This is the crux of the matter also. Jehovah's end-time people nullify his covenant. Now, this is huge. The earth lies polluted under its inhabitants. They have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinances, set at naught the ancient covenant. The curse devours the earth, for those who dwell on it have incurred guilt. Because of it, the population of the earth shall be diminished, and little of mankind remain. Well, who has the laws and ordinances? Well, we do. So who's transgressing them? Well, we are. It always starts with the Lord's own people, right? But it brings a curse upon the whole earth. This is when ancient Israel apostatized. It brought a curse upon the whole earth. That's when the great Assyrian invasions of the world happened, conquest of the world. And a century and a half later, the Babylonians did the same thing when the southern kingdom of Judah apostatized. It brings the curse or the destructions of God upon the whole earth. God's people are the catalyst of it all. Not very good news. But it's all part of God's plan. It has to happen so he can clean up the earth. He's not going to depart from what he said. Yes, we can repent, and if there's enough of us that repent, he'll wait a little longer. But what he has spoken, he's going to bring to pass. There's no precedent in the scriptures for him not doing what he said he would do. People point to, the time of Jonah, that when the people of Nineveh repented, the Lord didn't do it. He didn't destroy Nineveh like he said he would. And people point to that as a precedent of some kind of type and shadow of saying, hey, he's not going to do it if you just repent. Yes, for one thing, we're not repenting. And secondly, he did fulfill it later on in another generation. He fulfilled it to the letter in the days of Tobias. So what happens then when all of this is going on among us, when we're the catalyst for these horrible things? Well, the Book of Mormon has all of these types, and so does Isaiah. The king of Assyria punishes Jehovah's people, from Isaiah chapter 10, verses 5 through 7. Hail the Assyrian, the rod of my anger. He's a staff, my wrath in their hand. That is, the Lord uses him as a staff of punishment, as a rod of his anger. He personifies God's anger and wrath, and he's going to do a lot of damage among God's people and upon the whole world, as I mentioned, as happened anciently. I will commission him, so it's the Lord doing it. I will commission him against the godless nation, that is his own nation. Appoint him over the people deserving of my vengeance, to pillage for plunder, to spoliate for spoil, to tread underfoot like mud in the streets. Remember the salt that lost its savor? To be trodden underfoot? There it is. Nevertheless, it shall not seem so to him. This shall not be what he has in mind. His purpose shall be to annihilate and to exterminate nations, not a few. So his purpose is to commit worldwide genocide. You've heard of that agenda, right? And that's his agenda too, so that people will be easier, there'll be less people to rule over. It's not very pretty, is it? And it goes on in chapter 13 of Isaiah, verses 4 through 6. There's many more scriptures we could quote on this subject, but it gets pretty depressing. It's not all gloom and doom, and I don't want to dwell on it too much. Foreign armies invade the promised land. And this is our promised land today, the lands of America. It's going to repeat itself in our day, as it was anciently with the Assyrians and the promised land of God's people then that they invaded. Hark, a tumult on the mountains as of a vast multitude. Hark, an uproar among kingdoms as of nations assembling. Because Assyria, this world power from the north, in the book of Isaiah, we have a world power from the north, a militaristic world power that has, anciently it conquered it was the first military power, Assyria was, to conquer the world by military force. And Isaiah uses that as the type and shadow or precedent for what's going to repeat itself in our day. Of course, can you think of a world power from the north that could do that to the world today with its nuclear weapons that it has and so forth? But it's not just them, it's an Assyrian alliance of nations, as we just read, nations assembling. Jehovah of hosts is marshaling an army for war.